As far as we can remember, women and girls were victims of all sorts of abuse, and this is still the case today in spite of decades of struggle for the defense of women's rights. Why is it so? Just because we are females? Aren't we human beings just like boys and men? Don't we deserve the same rights, the same respect, and privileges? The causes and consequences of gender inequality are extremely complex and identify important issues that require knowledge and skills drawn from different disciplines: genetics, anthropology, sociology, biology, history, economics. The quest is fascinating. The key issues in this book are 1. To demonstrate, mostly thanks to genetics, anthropology, and primatology, that women are not intrinsically inferior to men. 2. To explain the historical and social constraints that led to the domination of women by men and their objectification. 3. To insist on the fact that patriarchy depends on the confinement and marginalization of women. 4. Last but not least, to demonstrate that women's empowerment isn't just about ethics and justice, but also is an essential contribution to the stability and the security of our modern societies. Indeed, considering the various issues posed by globalization, climate change, the demographic explosion, our societies do and will need every skill, creative talent, and workforce to meet the challenges ahead. They cannot afford to discriminate against 50% of their population any longer. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. That very fiery piece of writing that you just heard me read is part of the synopsis of his story of women, The Second Sex, by Casey Kells. And for this video, I thought I would review it. It could be argued that this video has been a long time coming. Probably ever since I reviewed this author's debut and memoir. I'm pretty sure this book wasn't out yet by the time I published that review, but it was being either made or marketed. So yeah, it was. So yeah, eventually I was going to get my hands on it. Also, by the way, happy 30th birthday, Casey. This video goes out to you. Anyway, aside from my personal connection to this, to this book, what else can I say about it? Well, the TLDW for this review is, for a surprisingly short book, there is actually a lot of content packed into it. Casey knows exactly what issues she wants to discuss, and she discusses them through a wide variety of lenses, each of which presents a new facet to her points, and ultimately a new demonstration of the strength of her message. While not all of her arguments flow together as eloquently as she is able to craft them, the conclusion towards which they build still stands very noticeable and very strong. What do I mean by that more specifically? Well, that's what the rest of this video is for. If you paid a little some close attention to the synopsis that I've just read, well, then you should know what the what the main points of this book are basically covering. It starts with a historical overview of the ways in which women and girls have been persecuted at various points in history all around the world. Because, as it turns out, misogyny is not a one size fits all phenomenon, and plenty of places have come up with not just plenty of ways to carry that out, but also with various motivations, aka post hoc justifications, in order to justify why why that kind of behavior is actually either necessary or even beneficial. And to Casey's full credit, she does not at all shy away from the ugliness and blatant abject misery that she quite effectively describes, and she does so without delving into any of the cliche examples, such as witch hunts, for example. She doesn't really dwell on any particular example, however, unless she wants to make a greater point. And whenever she does make one of these greater points regarding regarding women's discrimination, she is still capable of effectively integrating it into a historical and semantic continuum that demonstrates the severity of this issue, even within modern times in developed countries, or in countries that pretend to be developed. What I particularly appreciate here is that while she is capable of acknowledging that progress has been made when it comes to addressing the problems of women's discrimination, she is still very much able and she's still very much able and willing to point out various avenues and directions through which improvements could be made. Which I have to say, as someone who spends probably more time than I should on political Twitter, I find to be I find that to be a very refreshing and very exciting and very intriguing, very imagination-inspiring take. Casey then goes on to point out how how the problems afflicting women and girls have ramifications within other parts of society, and also points out certain potential solutions. A key thing of note within this section of the book is that while her perspective on the issues is based very much on ethics and justice, her perspectives on the solutions come from a more pragmatic lens, urging her readers to think about what it is that makes about the improvements that could result from addressing women's discrimination, primarily from an educational, industrial, scientific, and social development perspective, which I have to say adds a lot of nuance and dimension to the analysis Casey herself presents within this book. That level of nuance kind of fades away within the last third of the book, where she is trying to use biology and genetics in order to dispel the certain gender stereotypes, or rather prove them wrong. That particular segment comes somewhat out of nowhere and delves a little bit too much into gender essentialism. If I'm to be perfectly honest, it almost makes her come across as transphobic, even though I don't think that really was her intention. So something else that is somewhat problematic within this segment is that when she uses these the examples that she points out within this segment about the genetic and biological differences between men and women, she then tries to use these differences in order to explain how gender dynamics developed in very early societies, Neolithic agricultural ones, and she does so while completely ignoring the impact pregnancy and associated comorbidities, especially in a time before germ theory, would have had. Which, considering how effectively she has integrated various other women's issues within her text, really comes across as a very odd thing to just ignore. So yeah, make of that what you will. Still, I have to say that her concluding message does still stand strong, and does still hold up. Still proves that she is for the most part in the right when it comes to presenting her initiatives. Overall, while not every piece of this book interlocks with every other piece as cleanly as it should, the The overall message that the book is trying to convey still resonates quite well, and is very easily accessible for the for any potential readers. My final rating for his story of women, the second sex, is a 4 out of 5. And yeah, that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the book or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. Ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My books, the first of my own Heir to the Empire series, The Next Generation and the Path Not Taken, are available at various book retailers under their respective master links in the description down below. Right past my social media links, which I would suggest you check out should you choose to. Additionally, you have the option of supporting me on Patreon, where depending on the level at which you pledge, you will receive various perks. I can't really say what these perks are right now because I am, as of the time of this video's production, in the middle of in the middle of working through them. However, I should be done with that by the time the video gets released. So go ahead and check that out for yourselves. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.